Drexler and Sibbet created the team performance model to describe a team's way from creation to sustaining, and with an angle of a team with the possibility to high perform and a team having difficulties in high performing. The model has 7 phases: orientation, trust building, goal clarification, commitment, implementation, high performance, and renewal. The inner V is when the team is likely to be high performing, and the outer V is when the team is not likely to be high performing. The model will be presented step by step in adaptation from the work of Drexler and Sibbet. Orientation. Why am I here? When a team is formed, everybody wonders about 2 things. Is the purpose aligned with my personal values? What is the purpose of this team? Will we and I make a difference? Is the purpose aligned with what is important to me? Is there a role for me that I believe I will be passionate about? Do I fit in? Will I be accepted by the others in the team? Do I perceive my new team's identity to fit with my own personal values and preferences? Each individual is seeking answers to continue. A clear direction from the manager about what kind of difference this team can make and what kind of overall task the team is going to do is a good starting point. The tool storytelling is important to get people emotionally engaged in what the team is all about, what and when the team will be a success, what kind of difference a team can make for the company, and what is in it for the individual. Enter the leadership path, lead and manage strategies to learn more about storytelling. Orientation and changes. Even for a team that has been together for a long time, it is needed to start in orientation from time to time, either because a change has occurred or because the team has lost the connection to the company's mission, vision, values, strategy, and overall goals. Enter the leadership path, lead and manage strategies to learn more about a corporate statement. Whenever a change occurs, for instance, a new team member enters, the company changes strategy, an outside threat arises, the customers changes their demands, the team can no longer be what they were. They have to ask themselves the question again. Is the new purpose aligned with my personal values? What is the purpose of this team now? Will we and I make a difference now? Is the new purpose aligned with what is important to me? Is there a role for me that I believe I will be passionate about? Do I fit in with this change? Will I be accepted by the others in the team now? Do I perceive my team's identity to still fit with my personal values and preferences, or will the identity change? Storytelling from the manager is again the answer. Interaction and communication between the team members has to be ensured by the manager, and it is worth it to once again facilitate a small exercise. The team will get to know opinions and feelings and can deal with them together. If the orientation phase is resolved, people discover a purpose, team identity, and membership, and can move on to the next step, trust building. If the orientation phase is unresolved, the team will discover disorientation, uncertainty, and fear. It is for obvious reasons harder to move on to the next step of building mutual trust. Trust building. Who are you? Next, people want to know, who am I going to work with? And most importantly, who will be my future manager? Questions to be answered are, for instance, what is most important for my manager that I do? Does it fit into my personal way of working and my personal inner values? What are my teammates' expectations for me as a person and in the way I work? Will my manager and teammates live up to my expectations? What are my new managers and my new teammates' agendas, and do they fit with my own? What are their competences and how are we complementary or alike? What kind of competences do I expect others to have, and what would I like to offer? Which competences would I wish that I had? What am I looking forward to, and what are my fears in relation to the others? Even for teams that have been together for a long time, these questions pops up once in a while and needs to be answered. People can go to work day in and day out and suddenly decide that they are not willing to commit to anything or anyone anymore. It could be because of relations lacking trust or the task not fitting with the preferred way of working. The job is at stake. The manager can discover an employee's inner work-life balance. The best way to build trust is most often that the team members and the manager are open and direct about own needs, even if mistrust is already there. Trust can be restored if and when all team members, and not least the managers, listening, trying to understand why different needs are important to different individuals, and that all parties are able and willing to compromise on own preferred style. Let the employees talk together and talk with each employee yourself. Get people to talk together and get engaged in each other by asking the team to join in for a small team exercise. In Get Started, you can find different exercises to help the team members to get to know each other and find shared values and preferences. When you choose an exercise, be aware of whom the team members are to match team and exercise. If you perceive the team members as strictly professional, you may want to use a more formal presentation of each other. If you perceive that the team members are in for some fun, you can help the team to get closer to each other by choosing a game. Also be aware of what is public and work-related, public and non-work-related, personal and private. Public and work-related can be what a person has been working with previously and which task they would like to handle in the future. Public and non-work-related can be if a person is married, have kids, what kind of sport they prefer, and how old they are. Personal can be which preferences a person has to the working environment and how a person prefers to interact with other people. Private can be how a person's marriage is and what problems a person has with the kids' schools at the moment. Personal and private matters can be both public and private, but at this stage, it is most probably not public. Setting team rules can be very helpful to get the team members to understand how to trust and be trusted. When asked about team rules, these phrases are some of the common answers. Be open, be sincere, be honest, be helpful, be polite, be direct, have humor, recognize and appreciate, tell the truth, deliver quality, be fast, communicate. Phrases like these need to be deepened to understand what they mean. To be open has many perspectives and many of them is represented in a group. Does to be open mean that I have to say everything that comes to my mind, or do I have to think before I speak? Do I have to be open about things that may hurt another team member? Can I be open about my private matters, or do I have to keep that for myself? Do I have to be open about other team members' mistakes, or is it better to be silent about shortcomings? Ask questions to deepen the understanding. The answers are different from team to team. What is important is to get the team to discuss what each phrase means for them. Ask questions like, what does to be open mean for you? What more does it mean? What does to be open not mean for you? One of the ways to talk together is to have a dialogue about trust between two people, especially between the manager and each of the employees. It can also be between two team members. It may seem a bit like stepping over a personal line, but it can be very beneficial. It is more or less the same as setting team rules. That is a negotiation too. Now it is just a bit deeper and between two people. A prerequisite for a positive dialogue on trust is that the manager acts as a professional, relating the trust dialogue to the work that has to be done and the relationships in it. Having a dialogue about trust is an important part of working together in the best of ways. Most of what creates trust is below the water surface, and you cannot guess what it is. You need the other person to tell you what is important for him or her to be able to trust you, and you must enlighten each employee on what is important for you to trust them. See an example of how to have a dialogue about trust and see it in action, and get a coaching template that can inspire you to ask powerful questions and get started. You will also find a template for the employees to have a dialogue about trust. If the trust building phase is resolved, people discover mutual regard, forthrightness, reliability, and can move on to the next step, goal clarification. If the trust-building phase is unresolved, the team will discover caution, mistrust, facade. It is for obvious reasons harder to move on to the next step, filled with energy and ready to clarify goals. Even if trust has been built, trust can disappear at a later stage in a team's lifetime. Mistrust can happen between two people, and negative storytelling can occur that affects the whole team. If there's mistrust between two people, you soon discover that the rest of the team members have to choose side. Whom of the two do I believe more than the other? When mistrust occurs, people's mood changes, and it becomes more or less obvious to the other team members that something is not the way it was before. With negative storytelling about one or more persons, it becomes even more obvious and the pressure for choosing side increases. As trust can disappear, trust can be restored. Communication is the answer and the starting point is just different. When you enter a new team where you do not know people, you hope that trust can be built. If trust is for some reason lost, your starting point is to agree upon that it is not there, and some good first questions can be: I have the feeling that you no longer trust me and I don't trust you. What has happened? What can we do about it? Now that I know that you no longer trust me, what can I do for you to ever trust me again? Now that we know that we lost trust in one another, what can we do to restore it? What is more important for you that I start doing? What is more important for you that I stop doing? What would you feel if I told you why I lost trust in you? Mutual trust between us is very important for me, and I'm sorry we lost it. How important is it to you that we restore it? If you should ever trust me again, what should I do? Goal clarification. What are we doing? When trust has been built, the team is ready to move to the next phase in creating the team. Goal clarification. In this phase, people want to know what they're supposed to do, what the team goals are, what the individual goals are, when they are a success as individuals and as a team, what are their priorities, what are the terms and conditions, what is up for discussion and what is not, what is the shared vision we all commit to, what are the basic assumptions about the work that has to be done. The team will start to discuss possibilities, options, possible obstacles, and whether or not the organization is on the right track. People's preferences for how to work and what to focus on becomes more visible. People start to judge the other's intention by evaluating their behavior. The manager's responsibility is to ensure that communication is flowing and that potential conflicts are dealt with. When dealing with potential conflicts in an effective way, the communication has to be about the more soft stuff, like preferences, intention, and behavior, besides being about the more hard stuff, like goals, priorities, competences, and working methods. Potential conflicts to be dealt with are also disagreements between what the individual has as personal goals and what the organization has. The manager must be clear about what is and is not up for discussion and for whom. A great exercise for this work is to combine setting a clear direction and involve people to co-create working methods and decide priorities. Take a look at the exercise playing field, which can be helpful for you to do together with the team in this phase and the next phase, commitment. If the goal clarification phase is resolved, people have explicit assumptions, clear integrated goals, and a shared vision, and can move on to the next step, commitment. If the goal clarification phase is unresolved, the team members will discover apathy, skepticism, and irrelevant competition. If the goals are not clear, there is no common purpose, and people start to create their own purpose to get something to strive for. This creates an irrelevant competition on things that may or may not matter to the organization. Some people are driven by competition, winning, and getting recognized for their results. If there are no clear goals, they will try to get others, especially the manager, to commit to goals that are engaging to themselves. Apathy and skepticism occurs when people do not know what they are expected to do, and fear of failure can get people to do nothing at all. It can be quite hard to move on to commitment if people are unsure what to commit to. Commitment. How will we do it? When goals are clarified, it is time to discuss how to do the work, decide upon working methods, and commit to the decisions made. The question to answer is, how will we do it? One thing is to take overall decisions about goals, priorities, and working methods, and another thing is to be concrete about it. This phase is a time where the team's preferences for how to work in daily operations becomes visible to all. Different personal profiles have different preferences. For instance, I want to structure my calendar before I can start working. I want to start working right away. I need to know every step from start to finish. I can figure the steps out as work progresses. I want us all to agree on common ways of doing the work. I want to do things my way, and so should everyone else. I need the manager to take all decisions. I can take decisions on my job since I am the expert. This phase can be tough on the team and the individual. Conflicts can occur easily, and people have to choose side. Teams that are really good at listening to each other, understanding needs of the other, and being able to compromise are better in this phase than teams with lots of individual needs that are expected to be met by others. Be aware of individuals choosing side out of respect for another individual in the group, and who will later suffer adjusting to working methods and tasks that doesn't fit this person. Long-time passion for the work is what drives effective teams in the long run. Having one or more persons who are not passionate about the work is a risk for the team. The dialogue in the team should end up in a concrete plan for the team with clear roles and responsibilities for the team and the individual. It can end up in clear individual goals as well, with success criteria for when each person in the team is a success. Discussions in the team need to end and decisions must be taken. The compromises that are a part of the decisions should be known by the whole team so they take a joint responsibility for things to work. If a person, for instance, needs a step-by-step plan to feel comfortable with the work and decisions in the team is that steps are figured out as work progresses, the whole team is responsible for that this one person who needs a step-by-step plan is at all times in control of the task. Discuss with the team and the individual what learning is needed to be able to excel in the job. Continue the work of involving the team members to co-create their own workplace. A good exercise for that is to finalize the playing field and make a concrete plan for how to do the work. Enter the leadership path, lead and manage strategies to find tools for making a concrete plan. Enter the leadership path, lead and manage performance to learn more about how to incorporate learning goals in everyday management and leadership. Commitment is not only about commitment to do a special task or job or to reach a certain goal. Commitment is also about being committed to the rest of the team. Signs of commitment to each other lie in statements like, I want to succeed myself because it will help the team to succeed. I want to help my colleague to be the best he can be. I'm happy when I see that you succeed. I want to appreciate and celebrate you. It makes me humble and happy that my teammates want to appreciate and celebrate me. I want to learn from you. I want to do my best to help you to see how you can become even better. If the commitment phase is resolved, people have assigned roles, allocated resources, decisions made, and can move on to the next step, implementation. If the commitment phase is unresolved, the team will discover dependence, resistance. That has to be dealt with before moving on. Over-communication is a good tool in this phase. Use every opportunity to get to know what people think and feel. Structure your interaction with the team members so you're sure you meet them instead of getting caught up in other things such as management meetings, project meetings, strategically meetings, and meetings where your expert knowledge is needed. Your team needs you to be physically and mentally present in this phase. Enter the leadership path, lead and manage performance to learn more about how to structure your daily interactions with the team and the individuals. Implementation. Who does what, when, and where? When the team members are committed to their assigned roles, it is time to plan in depth. One thing is to have an assigned role, and another is to know exactly what that means and what to do. An assigned role could be to sell our products to the company's key customers. Open questions for the employee can be, which sales tools and templates do I use? How do I report the sales and problems along the way? How do I get a lead list with potential customers? How will the manager follow up? Which questions are best used to understand the customer's needs? What kind of support do I get? In this phase, there are many open questions to be answered. For instance, what are the standard operating procedures that I have to align to? What are the detailed plans and which deadlines do I have to meet? How does each of my standard operating procedures align with those of others? How does the value chain look like in details that I have to contribute to? Where in the operating procedures do I have decision power, and where do I have to ask for decisions to be taken? What and how do I have to communicate to others, and what do others have to communicate to me? Progress at work. Once the team starts to dig into shaping the real work, they may encounter new unforeseen obstacles that have to be dealt with. It may also mean taking a step back to a previous stage to clarify goals, get commitment, and even build trust again. Sometimes a step back is seen as a step forward in the process, and sometimes it is the cause of frustration and confusion and not seeing work progressing. It can be disturbing for the team, and for some team members it can be irritating and confusing to have to take a step back. Once you think that you're well on your way, doing the job you're hired to do, and the next minute you have to start all over again. Reward in the job is also to see that work is progressing. It is needed that the manager is present to either deal with the confusion or frustration or to recognize progress. Monitor the value chain. When planning in details, the starting point is the value chain that leads to the customer. Whether it is a new or an older team, there will always be a value chain that has to run as smoothly as possible. The team has to reduce waste in the value chain, like motion, overprocessing or overproduction, defects, and waiting time. The team needs to understand the value chain and continuously improve it. Taking over old standard operating procedures without questioning how it can be even better doesn't give the team access to be a high-performing team. When having standard operating procedures, it is possible to know exactly how long time a given task takes to do. This gives both the manager and the team an overview of what is possible to achieve in an hour, day, week, month, and year. Even project managers entering new fields have to find and commit to deadlines based on previous work done that are somehow similar. Enter the leadership path, lead and manage strategies, to learn more about how to work with value chains in a lean context and to find helpful project management tools for detailed planning purposes. If the implementation phase is resolved, people have clear processes, alignment, disciplined execution, and can move on to the next step, high performance. If the implementation phase is unresolved, the team will discover conflict, confusion, non-alignment, and missed deadlines. High performance, wow! Once the team has resolved the previous phases and is working according to the decided operating procedures leading to the goals, the team has potential to become a high-performance team. A high-performance team is recognized for having a shared purpose, experiencing mutual trust, having clear goals, roles, and responsibilities, being interdependent on each other to be successful, being committed to achieve the goals together, having clear plans for how to do the work, perceiving work to be progressing, understanding how to contribute to the value chain leading to the customers, also when the value chains are cross teams in the company, continuously improving standard operating procedures, continuously adjust to changes in the environment and especially customer needs, learning from each other and continuously improving own behavior, perceiving mistakes as potential learning, celebrating each other, work progress and results, being observant of each other's well-being, including knowing when a colleague is overloaded, frustrated or confused, has signs of stress, has been in full control for a long time, running on the autopilot, or is plain bored with the work. Not all teams become high-performance teams. It takes time for a team to mature. The balance between being friends at work and having the guts to say to this friend that he or she is not performing up to standards at the moment can be a tough balance and is only one of many attitudes that have to be in place. Most people are not brought up with this kind of openness. It is a special culture that has to be built up, and the manager has a leading role in that. Even though most managers are aiming for developing a high-performing and responsible team, research indicates that many never reach that state. Much is dependent on the composition of the team, the manager's competence level, emotional intelligence, and the effort he or she is putting into the task. That is why it's also difficult to say how long time it takes to reach the phase of high performance. Work is ongoing while the team is passing the different phases, and there's no fixed time given for how long time a team should be in each phase. Enter the leadership path, lead and manage people, to learn more about emotional intelligence. Mediocrity. Some teams can perceive that they work their way through the phases in a high tempo. The reason can be that their personal preferences are alike. If the team for that reason is missing some important competences that has never been stated in the goals, are not committed to, nor described in the working processes, this team can fall short anyway. If the manager's immediate manager is unaware of how this team can be a true high-performance team, surpassing goals, all parties are happily unaware of being mediocre. Ask yourself, the team and other stakeholders, questions like, if we as a team should be even better, what do we have to do? What improvement areas haven't we discovered yet? If the unlikely situation should occur, that we were told to double or triple our results, what would be the first thing we should do to make that happen? These questions are valid even though the team can compare themselves to lots of other similar teams in a company. What if all the teams were mediocre, were satisfied by being average, and haven't really looked for new ways of doing the work that could dramatically change the results? What would happen to the company's result if they strived for more? There's a difference between a group and a team. A team has a shared purpose and is interdependent on each other to be successful. A group has individual purposes and is not necessarily interdependent on each other to do their task. Nevertheless, a group can be high performance as well. Group members can be sparring partners, mentors and coaches for each other and liking each other enough to spend time on appreciating each other for achievements and learning from each other. Lots of groups and individuals can live a life on their own, only adjusting to an overall direction. A group of solos seldom develop as much as is possible in a high-performance group or team. However, this doesn't mean that work is not progressing well. If the high-performance phase is resolved, people have spontaneous interaction, synergy, and surpassing results. If the high-performance phase is unresolved, the team will discover overload and disharmony. Renewal. Why continue? When a team has been high-performing for a long time, people may wonder why they're in the team, what is stopping them from trying out something new, and if there are or will ever be new personal opportunities within the team. People do get tired and tend to forget past glorious achievements. It is time to recap. What has been achieved? What can be learned from the past? Prepare for taking one more major step for the company that will demand full focus and new learning. The renewal phase is both an ending and a new beginning. Project managers know about endings and new beginnings since projects are opening up and closing all the time. Lots of projects never reach the phase high performance, but are closed long before, unless the team continues on a new project together. Project teams can benefit a lot from jumping to the renewal phase anyway, to get a good closure, where team members can reflect upon what has been achieved, what were the successes and strengths in the team and in each individual, what were the challenges during the project, and what have been learned. It is a reason to say goodbye to tasks and relations and prepare for entering a new project with increased competences. For teams that has been together for a long time, it is beneficial to make a pit stop once in a while to discover what has been achieved, what are the team's strengths, what can the team and the individual do to take a new major step. This is an opportunity to celebrate achievements and let the team members convince themselves of what they are good at and what they personally want to do to become even better when taking a new major step. Changes in the team composition. There's no sorrow in letting a high performer go to join a new team. Rather let the person go than retaining a person who will in time enter a state of boredom. Changes like getting a new person in the team can be equally disturbing to a team as strategy changes or getting a new manager. There are new things to adjust to that wasn't there before. The team has to build up again in a new way. Getting a new team member means new insight and new ideas, but also that the team will start all over again, finding out who everyone is, who can relate to whom, how to build trust in a new way, what the new goals are, how to commit to the work given in a new team constellation, and how to plan and do the work. The manager has to be equally focused on the team in the different phases as he or she was when the team was new. If it is the manager who is the new team member, the employees and the team will be aware of whether the new manager is competent and willing enough to take the leading role as well as the previous manager did. If the renewal phase is resolved, people discover recognition and celebration, change mastery, and staying power, and can move on to new exciting opportunities without major disturbances. If the renewal phase is unresolved, the team will discover boredom and burnout.